The Deathleaper has finally been reborn. I didn't think it was going to happen, but let's dive into this model today. Hey guys, welcome back to Maelstrom Gaming Studios. And the Deathleaper has been reborn. Something I did not anticipate GW doing at all. There were rumors out there that Deathleaper was going to be axed from the Tyranid Codex altogether. We can see the exact opposite has happened as he is receiving one of the more beautiful Tyranid models, or intricate, beautiful in a Tyranid way that we have seen so far with the Tyranid range. We're going to dive into everything I think about this model today. A few things, again, I just want to thank our members and subscribers. Hit the little like and subscribe button if you want to stay up to date on all of our content here at Maelstrom Gaming Studios. If you are new to Tyranids in Warhammer 40k 10th edition, as we're beginning that journey, I cover all things Tyranids here on the channel, and we do battle reports, tactics, all that stuff coming up. And also, on Friday, so 2 days from now, when you're seeing this, at 3 p.m. US Central Time, so that is 9 p.m. Great Britain time or UK time, whatever you call it. I will be doing a live stream where we are going to be going over all the points for the Tyranids because those will be released on Friday. We'll do some list building for about 2 hours, some live list building, see what we can come up, see what 2,000 points really gets us in 40k 10th edition for the Tyranids. So with all the way, let's talk about this Tyranid. So on the screen you can see a before and after picture of the old Deathleaper model to the new Deathleaper model. This has to be, in my opinion, one of the biggest glow ups in all of 40k history. Recently GW's been doing that, pulling models back that are up to date that have been around for a while, but not really seen the love, or their kits have been going outdated. We've seen things like Gazgul, Dante, Commander Farsight, Shadow Sun. The Screamer Killer Carnifex has been updated. Tons of models, tons and tons. Pretty much every faction, well, almost every main faction has seen some sort of revamp of these types of models. Tyranids finally, we had the Parasite, and now we've got the Deathleaper. This is a great contender for Model of the Year, in my opinion, from GW. It just looks awesome. It's got that power stance going on. It's on a terrain feature, which normally I'm not a big fan about. However, this is a special character, single model. There's never more than one of these in an army. So I think with that, it gets away with it a little bit more than other cases. You could easily take this model and put it on a terrain feature to match your own basing scheme. You do have to keep in mind that it does, based on the posing, it has to be elevated in pretty much the same way this one is. I would think you'd be hard pressed to change the posing too much without really cutting up the model. But if you want to put it on some rocks or maybe some, some deserty or jungle type scheme, easily can do that. But the way it looks now, I really love it. Some significant design changes, in my opinion. We'll talk about the big one. There's the cape. The integration of a cape for a Tyranid model. A model that is a living organism designed to feed, hunt, assassinate. It doesn't need a cape. It's not going for style. It just is. It's weird. I'm conflicted about this, and it's just, on one hand, it looks cool. If you paint it right, it can look like the winged membrane that you can do for all your other Tyranid winged creatures, your Hive Tyrants and your Gargoyles and your Parasite. You can paint it that same way. But it's a cape on something that doesn't need a cape. So I go back and forth. And then you can't really see it in this image, but we can on the next page. The tail is not a tail in the same way the original model is. So that one, I'm not so sure on. The one I definitely do like is the upgrade to the head. The head upgrade is insane. The old one was fine, very Cthulhu-esque, but this new head just looks so good. And then let's just get into some more detailed pictures here. So first, we'll continue our conversation with the head. you went from having just, you know, your 6 eyes and your tentacles to now you've got your 6 eyes, you've got a mouth with teeth, and then you've got a maw of tentacles, sort of like a mini Harsphex-esque, and the Von Ryan Leapers, sort of a mix there. 6 tentacles in this maw, in the mouth, and then on top of that, you've got 2 bigger tentacles, assuming these are all prehensile, that come out on the sides of its face to further impale its prey. I mean, there's a lot going on there. Hopefully this model is very easy. Tyranids, sometimes it's not as easy, but hopefully you can just pop the head off, paint it separately so you can get into all of those little details, and then pop the head on when you finally go to assemble it, because man, there is so many details in that head. It would be a shame for such a centerpiece like model to not get those details when you're going there. The side profile going down below, it looks gruesome. Again, you can just see those tentacles a lot better. The detail is just much more defined in there. I do really like the look of those. The body, nothing too crazy there. In the upper torso, it is just a Tyranid. They don't really have too much detail. You can see the little side hooks, which Deathleaper did have. They're just a little bit more profound, well-defined in this vision. And then we'll get to the back, which is where a lot of people, like me, are conflicted on this. Start at the bottom. Terrain feature, great. Weird cape thing. You can see that it is joined to the legs, to the upper thighs. I don't know how, I guess I'm just conflicted because it looks good. I do like it, but it just doesn't feel like it belongs on the Deathleaper. So I'm going back and forth with this one. Do I really like it? Does it fit? I think overall I'm leaning towards liking it. What I'm not leaning towards liking as much is if we go up the model, you can see that they have slightly changed the way standard Tyranid upper carapaces work. Typically, like a Tyranid warrior or a Ravener, I don't really have one on me to show you, you guys know, you have the upper torso and you have, you know, 2 sets of limbs on each side, or 2 sets of limbs on it, so 4 limbs in total, and then that, you know, moves into the neck/head area. What they've done here is they've only put on the upper torso 1 set of limbs, and those are its main claws, or its smaller rending claw type claws. But then they've stacked kind of like on its back an additional protrusion of carapace. And then in that is the big pincer claws, the like mantis claws. And they have this where what used to be its tail is now coming out of its back and being this weird prehensile tail dreadlock hair piece thing. I don't know how I feel about it. It looks like someone who has not the best at kit bashing was building this up, and they said, shoot, I need more space for my other limbs. I'm just gonna slap some green stuff down, put an armor plate on top, and then stick everything to that and sort of sculpt it to make it look fine. It just looks, I would have liked, there's a gap. That's the main thing, I think. There's a gap between that top armor plate and that middle armor plate. I would have liked if they had another piece that kind of conjoined those or bridge that gap. I think that's part of it that I don't like. But also, that tail just sticking out right there is weird. What do you guys think? I think it's really weird. I can't quite get around it. Maybe I see it in person. It looks so good from the front, and then from the back it's just, I'm questioning it. So it's tough for me right there, because it's such a stark contrast between, oh my gosh, that's amazing, and ooh, not my favorite thing. But what I want to talk about more, just to finish up with this Deathleaper, is I'm curious to what the future holds for the Tyranids. This is giving me more positive vibes, not that I had negative vibes, but more positive vibes in the fall when we're going to get our full range refresh. This is our first wave, and we're getting a second wave later. GW's already told us we're getting the Necron treatment, essentially. And I was kind of convinced Tyranids aren't going to get a ton of new things. We got a ton of new units, and I'm assuming we're going to get some revamp stuff, but maybe we're going to get more than I initially anticipated. This bodes well. Could we be seeing more characters return? Could we see the Red Terror pop back? In the whole style how 10th edition works, having a character Ravener just attached to Raveners makes perfect sense as an easy option. So seeing the Red Terror come back could be good. I'm not getting your hopes up. Don't get your hopes up. It would be great, but don't get your hopes up too much. I think it could be cool. One that I would be ecstatic for is the Doom of Malachi. If you're someone who is a 5th edition player, you know the Doom of Malachi. If you didn't, you probably barely touched 5th edition / 6th edition, but Doom Malachi, for those you don't know, is a named character, was a named character of a Zoanthrope / Neurothrope. Neurothropes were not a thing then. So it was a named character, Zoanthrope, who eventually was downgraded into a Neurothrope. But the Doom of Malachi, his whole lore thing, he basically wiped out an entire Eldar planet, I think, single-handedly. If you guys, lore is not my biggest strength, so if you guys know, correct me if I'm wrong in that. But his rules in today, I might do a video on this just for fun, but his rules in today's 10th edition would just be bonkers, I think. He was so good. He single-handedly won so many games in 5th edition for me. So if they brought back the Doom of Malachi, I would probably buy like 4 of them, paint one up, make it one of my best painted models ever, and I would do a giveaway for the other 3 just to share my love of the Doom of Malachi. I don't care if the rules suck. Doom of Malachi, as long as he does what he used to do, but maybe not as overpowered like, I'd be okay with it. They also, GW mentioned, that we should be expecting more Vanguard organism kits coming. So that leads me to believe if we got Deathleaper, we are absolutely getting new Lictors, and we're going to be getting new Gene Stealers coming up soon here. So if you are looking to pick up those models and you can wait a couple months, I would wait unless you don't care about having the old sculpts. But seeing old Lictor or old Deathleaper to new Deathleaper, I'm curious if Lictors are going to get similar treatment from old Lictor to this, and maybe the defining difference will be there will be no cape on a Lictor, and instead they'll have a normal tail, and maybe the mouth won't be as crazy over the top. Maybe it'll be missing the side tentacles. Maybe he won't be standing on some big terrain. But that could be a difference between old Lictor and new Lictor, just so you kind of have an idea of what we're looking at for that model. I think maybe that's one of the big reasons they put the cape in. Now that I think about it, that's probably the big reason they put a cape in, is so you can distinguish Deathleaper from a standard Lictor. Because I bet the new Lictors are going to look similar to this. Yeah, so I have high hopes for what Tyranid models are coming soon. We've got Leviathan right around the corner. We'll paint all those models up, get them ready, and then we'll save up some money, and as soon as all those new 10th edition models drop, we'll be here for the reveals, and we'll be buying all of those kits and showing them off on the channel and using them in battle reports, painting them, everything we got here. So I want to cover Deathleaper. Is a great kit. I really like it. I'm excited to get my hands on it, and let me know in the comments what you think of all of these, all of my thoughts on Deathleaper. Do you like them? Do you like the cape? Do you hate the cape? Do you like the tail thing? Do you hate the tail thing? Do you think I'm right about the cape being the only reason to distinguish Deathleaper from Lictor? Maybe. And remember the live stream coming up on Friday. I'd love to see as many people there, and we can just, you know, hang out, relax, build some Tyranid lists. I'll probably use one of the lists we construct on that in the first battle report of 10th edition for us, because we'll probably be recording that in a few days after that live stream. So that's all I got. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you, members. Check out all the links in the description down below, and we'll see you next time here at Maelstrom Gaming Studios.